horror on a college campus. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk gunned down in front of a crowd at Utah Valley University.
It is my great dishonor to be the person that says this and breaks this to you on television, but President Donald Trump is announcing on Truth Social, the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead.
On September 10th, 2025, at around lunchtime, Charlie Kirk was fatally shot at Utah Valley University. As this comes out on his birthday and a little over a month since his passing, a question probably all of us have wrestled with, and one I will try and attempt in my meager abilities to answer as best I can, is why? Why was Charlie Kirk killed? There are three things that I think are the biggest reasons why I believe Charlie Kirk was fatally shot. First off, because people did not agree with him, and they told other people that also did not agree with him that he was an existential threat. Now, an existential threat is a threat that threatens your very existence. In certain wars, people will say that they are an existential threat. If there was an enemy, or I should say, like a very clear case would be Jews in Europe during the Holocaust. Nazi Germany was an existential threat to them. People on the far left, and I will call it out for that, many people on the far left said people like Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk himself were an existential threat. And to be honest, I am a conservative, I am a Christian, I am a Republican, and honestly, we don't get everything right as well. Sometimes we have some of that rhetoric a little bit as well. But I don't think we've ever said someone was an existential threat, and we have not said that they should be silenced. People said that Charlie Kirk should be silenced, and someone believed that. Our system today, our education system, so often pumps lies and distortion and extremism to all of us. And again, that can be on the right as well. I'm not saying that we are exempt from that, but it does seem to be more apparent on the left. And so many of these people believe that people like Charlie are truly an existential threat. And that's something very, very sad, because then they can justify violence. Violence cannot be an answer to our opponents. It should not be the first choice to our enemies, and especially violence cannot be an answer to our countrymen. So the first reason I believe he was martyred, was because people did not agree with him, and they were lied to and believed the lie that he was an existential threat to them. Secondly, the whole reason Charlie was shot was because he openly and boldly talked about what he believed in. Think about it. How many people do you know openly and boldly talk about what they believe, why they believe that, are willing to question other people's beliefs? Most people are not. Oftentimes, we're too scared of what other people think or how they might react or what they will do to us. Charlie boldly shared what he believed and why he believed it. Now, why did he do that? Was it to defeat an opponent? Was it just for fun to mess with people? No. Charlie genuinely cared for others, and he wanted to have open debate and open conversation about religion, about politics, and about physical differences in our country. All of those things are things that he believed in and wanted to have an open conversation and platform to talk about differences in those opinions. That has been one of the most cherished things that we as Americans have been able to do since the founding of our country. In other countries, it has been. If you disagree with someone, you could take them out, but it hasn't been that case in our country. It shouldn't be that case in our country. The last one, though, is perhaps the truest and at times the hardest to understand. So I believe he was murdered, because he was an existential threat to the left. No, he wasn't, but that's what they would say. Some of them, not all of them, I shouldn't say all of them, but some of them have said that, and some of them believed that. This kid from Utah believed that. Another reason why is because he boldly and unashamedly talked about what he believed in and challenged others who believed differently. But lastly, and perhaps most importantly, because it brings God glory. This one is perhaps the hardest to understand. In the moment, I think we've already seen how God has been given glory by people turning their lives to God, by people being aware of their life. You know, Charlie's life ultimately was cut short, but he did what he wanted to do, what he was called to do, and he will be remembered for that. How many of us live our lives and don't do things we are called to and will not be remembered? Not that everyone has to be remembered or everyone will be remembered. How many people, though, have gone back to church? How many people have gotten saved and given their lives to Christ? How many stand for truth after his death? And that's not an easy one. That sometimes we still don't even understand. If any of you study the Bible and have heard of the story of Job, the account of Job, Job was an honorable, godly man. And no, his life was not taken from him, but almost everything else was taken from him. His children, his wealth, his physical health, his relationship with his wife was devastated for a time. And all those things Job did not blame God, but he did end up wanting to know why God did it. He wanted God to answer him. And when it got down to it, when God confronted Job, God did not tell why he did it. He showed who he was. And that is all the times, the answer we get. Sometimes we don't get to see. I think we do get to see how God is getting glory, but sometimes we do not, and that is where some faith comes in, because you know what was behind the scene? Satan had asked to tempt or try Job so that Job would turn his back on God, and God knew Job wouldn't, and he wanted to prove the devil wrong. I don't know if that has been the case here, but again, that's sometimes the hardest one to accept. Oswald Chambers said, if through a broken heart God's can bring his purpose on this earth, then thank him for breaking your heart. Truly, it's been a sobering and difficult time for many Americans on both sides at the passing of Charlie Kirk. And the reasons why. No one in America should be an existential threat to somebody else. That is not a justification for murder. We should be able to boldly talk about what we believe and why we believe, and we should be able to question other people's beliefs and thinking and be able to do that in a civilized manner. But ultimately, many of these things we pray and hope, we know do work out for God's glory. And truly, Charlie's greatest hope will be realized. He will be remembered for Christ.
Completely goes away. How do you want to be remembered?
I mean, if I die?
Everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith.